apparently Gen Z is like aging really rapidly.
That this young generation seems less capable to deal with stress than previous generations.
More than 50% of Gen Zs are reported to be struggling with mental health.
Gen Z is lazy. Gen Z is unmotivated. Gen Z has all of these problems and they're always crying about everything, and Gen Z is soft. Well, Gen Z goes through a lot of things on a consistent basis. And in this video, I just want to talk about some of the things that we go through as far as being a part of Gen Z, and why other generations literally cannot compare themselves to us, and why they should not compare themselves to us, because they don't understand what we're going through. Now, first, talking about Gen Z, it's if you were born between the year of 1997 and 2012. I want to make that a known thing, because if you think about what year we're in now, 2024, most of the people that they consider to be young adults are Gen Z. Like, that's our age range right now. We are essentially the young adults of the world. I say that to say, when you are a young adult, that's when you start making big purchases. That's when you kind of essentially become an adult. One of the things that is hindering us during this process of becoming an adult that people are not being aware of or acknowledging is inflation. I want people to understand one big thing that stresses us out so much being part of Gen Z is inflation, and other generations cannot compare. I get sick and tired when I hear other generations talking about how they had their own apartment at this age and they had their own car, they had all these other things. And when we try to tell them how it's hard for us, they just try to tell us, oh, well, you just got to get a job. You just have to be a hard worker. They tell us all these things like it's just so easy to do. And when we tell them things such as, well, the price have increased on stuff, they make it seem as though, duh, the prices have increased. But what a lot of people haven't understood is that though the prices of things are increasing, the prices of the income that we're making is not increasing as much. And let me give you an example of that. So for the median house in 1960, it will cost $104,000, and this is in 2020 dollars. So we've had a bit more inflation since then in the past 4 years. But in 2020, the average house, that's what an average house would cost in 1960. And if you transfer the dollars, I'm not exactly sure how much it was then, but for us, that would be $104,000. Our average house in 2020 was $240,000. That's 129% more. Okay, so of course, if the price of houses increase, well, the income should increase. Oh, it did. The average income, median household in 1960 was $49,000. The average income in 2020 was $68,000. That's only a 39% increase. So you're telling me prices of homes have went up 129%, but we've only increased our income by 39. And we're supposed to be okay with that. Okay, so if we're talking about people who live in, condos and rental properties and stuff like that. In 2014, the average for a single family unit was $1,300, give or take. For a residential condo, it was approximately $1,600, give or take. In 2023, a residential condo was $2,800 compared to the $1,600, and the single family unit was $2,300 compared to the $1,300. I want you to think about that. And that was from 2014 to 2023. So in 9 years, it increased by over $1,000 essentially. And now the average individual spends 40% of their income on housing. I want people to understand that. 40% of your income, boom, is already going to housing. Now, if you have to think about it, if you have a car, you have a vehicle, anything that goes towards your car, so your car insurance, your car note, all those things, boom. If you have any kinds of debt, student loan debt, which millions of individuals have, credit card debt, which a lot of other individuals have, boom. And also, speaking about student loan debt, back in the day, y'all used to be able to work side jobs and pay for your student loans. Nowadays, people go into college knowing they're going to graduate with debt. Like years ago, decades ago, y'all had the ability to work and still pay off college, which is crazy to even think about. But okay, I digress. So then you have any kind of insurances you have. If you have health insurance, if you have life insurance, if you live somewhere, you probably have some kind of house insurance, renter's insurance, boom. Then you have your income the things that you have to pay regardless every single month of just basic things that you have to update. So that's probably things such as your internet, that's probably things such as your groceries, that's probably things such as gas. Those are things that you always have to pay. Then there's if you would like to have a savings, because we try to have savings here and there. And then it's just life. If you think about it in a sense of there's always holidays. And then if it's not a holiday, it's somebody's birthday. And if it's not somebody's birthday, it's your birthday. So every 2 months or so, there is something that comes up which you probably have to spend a lump sum of money on. And that literally did not even take into account for you. They didn't take into account for yourself. So I didn't take account for you being like, hey, me and my friends want to go out to watch a movie. Hey, me and my friends want to go out and do this. Hey, I want to go out and do this. I say that to say if 40% of our income goes towards our housing, the average Gen Zer does not have enough money to live. And I feel like that's something that people need to understand when it comes to inflation and it comes to being stressed and it comes with dealing with all these things. It's simply because one luxury that a lot of you guys had in previous generations is you had the opportunity to live. You knew when you got off of work, you were able to do something, whether it was the littlest thing possible. Some people can't even afford to go to the movies. And I feel like that's something that people don't take into account about Gen Z is the price of living. The price of just being alive is so expensive that it's so hard to even enjoy life. So yes, we probably are stressed because we pay so much money for every single thing. And going into another reason why we're often stressed is because social media. I feel like a lot of people thought that and would understand that, but it goes into it because, like I said, inflation and all these things, because it's one thing for you to know that you're going through something and that you're stressed and you're this and you're that, but it makes it even more stress when it's like, you know, you barely can afford your place, you barely can afford your car. And every time you go on your timeline, you see people with newer cars than you see people with newer condos than you. Like that can become a sense of detachment from yourself, like making yourself, you taking yourself out of yourself and looking down upon yourself. Like, why don't you have this? And why don't you have that? And I feel like we often do it to ourselves due to social media. And it gives us an unrealistic perspective on life that other generations didn't have to deal with. And other generations, they didn't have social media like that. So if you were going through something, everyone around you probably was going through it too or similar. You know what I'm saying? Like the neighborhood you grew up in or whatever the case may be. You didn't know when you literally were 2 months behind on your rent that there were girls out there getting flown to Dubai. You didn't know when your car literally just broke down on you. There's somebody who's 5-10 years younger than you that literally just got gifted a luxury car. Like you, that wasn't even thought in your mind. And I feel like people don't understand that we can't help it. Like this is our generation. So yes, we often do have unrealistic expectations upon ourselves. And it stresses us out that we can't become our perfect self. It stresses us out that we can't live the life that we want to live and we can't do some of these things simply because we know about them. Like that's a big difference that people don't understand that we have in our generation, the power of knowing. And yes, social media can help people in a lot of ways, but it also can push people down because it makes you often look down upon yourself as far as I'm not enough. I can't do enough. I can't be enough because this person is doing this and this person is doing that. And other generations never had to deal with that. And going into looking down upon yourself and different things like that. Another thing that people need to understand that we deal with this in this generation is the constant toxic trait of improving. And even as something that I have to work on for myself, and even if you look at my previous videos on my channel, like I get it. We all want to improve. I get it. We all want to be, I'm a big advocate of being 1% better every single day. But like I said, it goes back into social media with the unrealistic expectations that we have upon ourselves, because I feel like it becomes a thing of every single thing I have to do, I have to be good at. I have to be perfect at working out. I have to be perfect at my job. I have to be perfect at a side hustle. Like it's this constant thing of improving. And if you're not improving, you're looked down upon or you feel bad about yourself. I saw this post on TikTok and this girl was basically saying how if you're at home and you find yourself just scrolling on social media, just laying on a couch or something like that, you're wasting your time because you could be starting a side hustle. What? Like we feel bad about enjoying life. Other generations didn't have that problem. We feel bad about sitting down and just enjoying ourselves because we always have this idea of I have to improve myself and I have to start this and I have to start that and I have to always do this thing. And due to social media, we have so many options. So one girl I see, she has $1 million business and she's my age. Another girl I see, she has a perfect body and she works out every single day. Another girl I see, she's always in nature and she's always doing it. And even though those are different individuals, I'm seeing it constantly. So our brain can't differentiate like, hey, well, those are different people doing different things and they don't show you everything about them. They just show you those good things. No, what your brain says is you need to be doing all those things. And maybe the girl with the good body, she doesn't have a side business. Maybe the girl with a side business, she doesn't even work out. But our brains don't know that. We don't tell ourselves that. We put this expectation upon ourselves to always improve. We always have to be confident. We always have to, not try to search for perfection. We always have to have the best mindset. And it becomes a thing that I feel like other generations didn't have to deal with simply because they didn't know about these things. And I think that's something that also stresses us out, is because oftentimes we put so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect. We put so much pressure on ourselves to improve that when we feel like we're not perfect or we're not improving, we feel like we're nothing. Like we really have this idea that I'm what am I worth, or what is my purpose, or what is this? And it's simply because we aren't perfect at some of the things that we're seeing on social media. And another thing that leads to, which becomes stressful, is the idea that we can't make bad decisions. Like bad decisions now are looked upon to be horrible decisions based on the fact of social media. And now we have so many things to see and so many mindsets to look from that people don't understand that it's not always a bad decision either. They're just decisions. And yes, they have kind of like the butterfly effect of life. If you do this, then this happens. If you do that, then that happens. But at the same time, they're simply just decisions. But since we see so much stuff on social media, we know so much stuff, all these other things, it's like we become so scared even sometimes to start things that other generations weren't scared to even start or even do, for the simple fact that we now know some of the consequences, which is a double-edged sword for some things. But I think a lot of times people don't see it as how it holds them back. The idea of perfectionism, the idea that they can't start that business, or they can't start that workout, or they can't start something until everything is perfect. Other generations didn't have that problem because they didn't know that there were other options. They didn't know there were other things to do. And I feel like they don't acknowledge that when it comes to us. Like, oh, y'all have all these opportunities, and if I had this opportunity, I would have did this and I would have did that. No, you wouldn't. Because you would have had so much pressure on your brain feeling like, wait, no, that's not perfect. But this girl said this, but this girl said that. But this guy posted like this and his post did good, but then she did this. Our brains are, imagine going through that for every single thing. It's not just social media related stuff for posting on social media. It's literally everything. What time do you work out? What stuff do you eat? What job do you work at? Where are you going on vacation? Like literally, it's a task trying to figure out where I want to plan my birthday trip, because now I see one video of this girl saying she went here and she had a great time. I mean, the other girl said, no, she went here and don't go to this part. It becomes stressful. It really becomes stressful with that. And I feel like another thing that kind of segues off of making bad decisions, I feel like one thing that messes us up though is that we're very a visual type of generation. So it's like we're very big on like pictures and media, and we're not really big on statistics and stuff like that. Like nobody really reads the newspaper. Nobody really is into reading. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like some people do read books and stuff, don't get me wrong, but I can just say as a generation, we're more so media type based as far as pictures and videos. I say that to say most people are so picture based and video based that we're not really into statistics. So it's like, yes, we do see people getting flown out to Dubai and flown out to Bali and all these things, and these people have these $1 million businesses. But then a lot of people don't know that 62% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. That means in between the time that they pay their bills and they're paid again, most Americans cannot afford to even have to fix their brakes on their car. They would have to take out some kind of credit or some kind of loan, or can't pay for their car to get fixed. Most Americans in between that time period cannot pay for, if they were to get sick and they have to pay for some kind of medication that isn't covered by their insurance. Like that's something that I feel like sometimes when we look down upon ourselves and like, why am I not doing more? Why am I not this? Due to social media, we don't realize statistically, and I'm not saying it makes it good or bad, it's just what it is, it's just a number. People are living paycheck to paycheck. And I feel like it makes us look down upon a lot of the things that we do and the kind of things that we already have, the car that we have, the place where we live. It's so easy to look down upon it because we only think we're going through it because the other people that we do see, the only people that post their highlights. So we do kind of feel like it's only us. We do kind of feel like, we're doing something wrong. When no, it's a lot of individuals that are going through the same thing as you. And even worse, like, to be honest, if you're watching this video right now, you're doing better than millions of people on this earth. Simply the fact that you have a device, no matter how old, no matter how new, you have a device, a cell phone, a laptop, a computer, whatever, and you're watching this on. But you don't think about it like that. And we're so down upon ourselves, and it's like we don't understand statistics. The average Gen Zer makes approximately, give or take, $37,000 a year. When they did a poll with Gen Zers asking them how much would they make, they would think would make them feel comfortable, they said approximately $170,000. So the average one makes $37,000, but they said $170,000 will make them feel comfortable. That's more than $100,000 more than the average individual makes. So yes, on a day-to-day basis, the average individual does feel like they don't have enough. The average individual does feel like they don't have, you get what I'm saying, the kind of life that they want, or they're stressed. Like it's so easy to be stressed. It's so easy to, be in your own head and all these other things where you're constantly feeling like you have to improve and you're constantly wanting more. And you feel like there's so many people that have more and you don't. And that kind of goes into my last point, talking about having too many options. And that really does come from social media. But like I said before, it creates this idea in your mind that what you have isn't good enough, that there's something wrong with what you have. And I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or whatever the case may be, but I'm starting to become a lot more appreciative of the things that I have, so much so that I don't want more if it doesn't really have a direct benefit to my life. I say that to say I have a 2012 Honda Accord, right? Last year on my vision board, I put on there to get a new car. And this year, I didn't even think about a new car. Actually, you're so crazy. Going into 2023, that's when I said I wanted a new car. By the end of 2023, or towards the end, it was probably like October, whatever time, August, I was like, I don't even want a new car. And the reason why I said I didn't want a new car is not because I can't use a new car. I mean, my girl did me good, but you always. Anyways, I said that to say, I was just like, why do I need a new car? My car gets me from A to B. My car does what a car is supposed to do. If you look up the definition of a car, my car does that. So my thing is, what is the point of me wanting a new car? Because I see people with a new car. Because I see the possibilities of a new car. Because I kind of want a back camera. But I'm like, girl, I don't have parallel park, so I'm good. I say that to say it's often easy for us to want these things and make ourselves feel stressed about these things and make ourselves feel bad about these things and down about these things simply because we don't have the newest version. No matter what year your car is, you have a car. No matter what year your phone is, you have a phone. Like, we sometimes detach ourselves from what that thing is supposed to do. That thing is supposed to get you from A to B. That thing is supposed to help you make calls. That thing is supposed to write. Like, even people, be like, oh, I want a better pen. Like, it's the littlest things that we don't realize as Gen Z we stress about for the simple fact that we have so many options. You could literally look up a dress and you're on page 50 of pink dresses because you can't find a perfect pink dress for your birthday. I know. Because that'd be me. I'd be on page 50. But it's like, other generations don't understand. We can't even help it. We're stressed because we have so many options. And we have this idea of perfection. We want the most perfect thing. When perfection really isn't even real, but that's a whole nother topic. But it's kind of like, people really don't understand that due to social media and due to inflation, due to so many things, it's not about us being lazy. It's not about us being soft. It's not about us, you know what I'm saying, not having work ethic. It's literally us in our own brains. It's literally us, like, we can't help it, but we do this to ourselves. Like, back in the day, they didn't have the option of, oh, do you want this or do you want that? This girl I saw on TikTok, her parents, she was a young teenager. She is a young teenager, bought her $13,000 worth of Stanley Cups, which is crazy to me. But I say that to say $13,000 worth of, you know how many different Stanley Cups that is? The fact that they have that many Stanley Cups is crazy to me. But it just makes you feel like, it just makes you never feel enough. I feel like that's one of the biggest things that we struggle with in our society as far as being Gen Z is it's hard feeling like you're enough. It's hard scrolling on my timeline feeling like enough. It's sometimes hard driving down the street feeling like I'm enough. That prior generations never had to deal with, or they did not have to deal with until they were adults. We've been feeling like this for years. My first social media was MySpace. I've been on social media since I was 7 years old, which is kind of crazy to say. But I've been on social media since I was 7 or 8 years old. I had MySpace. I say that to say Gen Z has been immersed in this. This is kind of all we knew since we were young. And so yes, the people that got on social media really for real when they was 17, 18, 20, or 30, it's easy for y'all to not really be that into social media. It's easy for y'all not to really care that much, but for us, it's our life. If you have a business and your business is not on social media, your business is probably not thriving. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, social media is our world, social media is our life, and it is a double-edged sword. There are benefits to it, but then there are also things that push us down. But I say all that to say, I just really wanted to create this video to talk to people who are a part of Gen Z and people who aren't a part of Gen Z, but just to explain some of the things that we go through. Hopefully, if anybody has currently been going through anything themselves, it made more sense to them, or you got an understanding of it, if you will. But I don't know, I just wanted to talk about that because I always see the topic of Gen Z being lazy and Gen Z this and Gen Z that, and I just feel like y'all really don't, people aren't considerate of what we go through. People aren't considerate of just how it is to be young and be in a new generation and be like, I'm pretty sure the people before millennials talked about millennials and the people before that talked about that. So the only difference is now y'all got a platform to talk about us on, but since y'all don't like social media so much, I don't even know why y'all be talking about us on our platform, okay? It's like, now let me stop. But thank you guys so much, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you would like to, tell me what year you were born if you are a part of Gen Z. I was born in 2000.